All right, moving on. Topic Tuesday. Thoracic aortic aneurysm. Seems simple enough. You would think that everybody's heard of it, but no, not if you just had a dissection and you didn't have an aneurysm before the dissection, or if you've had an abdominal, or it doesn't matter. It does. If you've never had a thoracic, then you might be all new words for you, but you probably have a million questions if you've been recently diagnosed. So the Society for Thoracic Surgeons, which is a wonderful organization, primarily catering to thoracic surgeons, they do have a patient website and a list of patient resources. So I haven't seen that with all the societies, but they're extremely supportive of Aortic Hope and Think Aorta. And if you can go to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons and go to the tab, it's all the way to the right that says patient website. They actually have a whole thoracic aortic aneurysm section. They have an aortic dissection section, because remember, the thoracic encompasses esophageal, lungs, it's everything that's in that upper chest area. So a lot of what we experience is in there. But what they talk about, thoracic aortic aneurysm, and I should have my water, but here we go. So the aorta is the main artery. So if this is the first time all of you are hearing about this, it's the big artery that basically carries that oxygenated blood out of the heart to the rest of the entire body. So that's the thing that looks like a candy cane. It looks like it has little arms and a little skirt at the bottom as it feeds your arms and your legs and basically the rest of your body. So the blood flows out of the heart and it goes into the aorta and it goes through the aortic valve, and it's roughly the diameter of a garden hose. That is really what it looks like if you have a garden hose handy. And the artery basically extends from the heart down through your chest, but behind, more towards the back. And it goes into your abdomen, and that's where it divides into these blood vessels that supply each of your legs. So that's the entirety of the aorta. So an aneurysm is actually a weakening in the wall of the aorta in that artery, and it causes it to balloon or expand in size. That's what an aneurysm is. And although an aneurysm can actually develop anywhere in your aorta, it actually can develop anywhere in your body, anywhere vascularly. The most common occurrence is in the section that's running through your abdominal. That's the most common area where you're going to find your aneurysms. That would be an abdominal aneurysms. But others can tend to occur in different sections that run through your chest, and that was the thoracic we were talking about. That's above the diaphragm. So according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, aortic aneurysms were reported as the primary cause of about 9,800 deaths in the US in 2014, but the actual number is probably quite higher. Aneurysms are often found incidentally during the evaluation of other problems. So let's say you go in for pneumonia and you're having a CT scan. That's typically when they find that you might have an aneurysm. And usually thoracic surgeons tend to look at all of the CT scans that are taken in the hospital because they are looking for something that is pretty common to make sure people don't end up having a dissection. But that we'll save that for another day. So since they commonly cause no pain or discomfort unless they're unusually large, it has been reported people can fear pulsing in their stomach, or with really large aneurysms in the chest, they may have problems breathing, or they cough, or typically it is asymptomatic. They can remain silent, and they can just keep growing for long periods of time before they're ever even identified. So when the aneurysm gets too large, it can cause pressure on a neighboring organ, or the wall of the blood vessel can actually split or tear. Splitting would be, or tearing would be the dissection. If it bursts, that would be considered a rupture. So there is so much information in just this section of aneurysms, everything from what causes a thoracic aortic aneurysm, the symptoms, the full list of symptoms, ways to diagnose and treatment options, and also recovery. So one of the things that we loved about, and we do love about the Society for Thoracic Surgeons is, and I'm going to click my handy arrows here, is the questions that they give you in all these different scenarios. These are wonderful tools to be able to take and feel more prepared when you talk to your doctor. So let's talk about a few of these, because I know you had an aneurysm, right? Since your dissection, Tammy.
Yes, mine is abdominal.
Okay, and so I've got two that are thoracic. So, and I feel like these questions really could pertain to either abdominal or thoracic. So the first one, I'm sure everybody wants to know is, will your condition get better without treatment? or could it get worse? And I don't know if a lot of these questions we're going to go over are actually ever just voluntarily discussed with a doctor. I think these are things we might have to bring up in these meetings. Do I need surgery to fix what I'm looking at? I think that's my question every time. Do I need surgery? Is it time for surgery? Do I need surgery? Because it's scary. You need to prepare, especially thoracic. If you're looking at open, you're looking at another year's recovery. If you're looking endovascularly, you're not. If it's abdominal, could be a stent also. So the different techniques are, they hold a bearing on our life. Are there any lifestyle changes that you can make to avoid surgery? Well, we all know that aneurysms don't shrink. So I feel like when people ask this question in the community, you can only control what you can control. And that is following the doctor's orders, right? Following any restrictions, eating with better common sense, no straining. I never tell people no lifting because I really don't know what their restrictions are, but no straining, right? Okay. What are options if you need to have your valve replaced? So not a lot of people realize that there is called resuspension of your valve, or there is going to be a replacement option, whether it's a tissue or mechanical. And I have already asked my doctors, like, what kind of valve would you do for yourself or a family member? Like, you live and breathe this. Why would you choose what you would choose? And every time they choose something different than what I want to choose in my mind. So I'm still educating myself. These are important questions. You didn't get a chance to make your decision, or did you?
No, that I didn't have a choice. But I've never really known why he picked a tissue valve over a mechanical valve for me. But I'm really glad that I am with the tissue valve, because I'm one of those people that I don't know. They say you get used to the sound, the clicking sound. I don't know that I could ever get used to the clicking sound.
Yeah.
So
that's me too. And I mean, even though you don't have to go for blood tests anymore to check certain blood
right,
clotting levels, you can just, right. When you and I both are like blood tests are out the door, I don't think I could live with hearing clicking. So, and I know that if you have tissue, it's very easy to repair endovascularly, but I think if you have mechanical, you have to be open. So I don't know.
And then, like, I have a hard enough, I don't know about you. I know my dissection went through one side of my carotid artery,
right.
my left side. So when I try to sleep at night, if I try to sleep on that side, I can hear the pumping, and I can't stand it. I have to roll over onto the other side so I can't hear it. So I don't know what I would do with a mechanical valve. They say you get used to it and you don't even notice it. I just don't know if I ever could. So I'm glad I didn't have to
in you. I see what I feel when I do this. I know. I'd love to know if anybody's watching. If you have your valve, do you have mechanical? Do you have tissue? I'd love to just have a whole conversation one night about it. Let's look at what they look like. Show me, let's get a surgeon to talk. I think we'll do that, because I think it's not discussed openly enough. But that's one. Okay, so how often do you perform this procedure? How often are you working on aneurysms? And what's the success rate? That's an important question. And even though most of these doctors are doing these every single day, and they would rather repair an aneurysm than a dissection any day of the week, I think it's for peace of mind you should ask. Potential side effects of having surgery, of having certain valves. That's important. Are you a candidate for minimally invasive surgery? Meaning, do you have to be cut open? And if so, why? Ask those questions. Can you walk me through the entire treatment process? How long will I be in the hospital? Are there any restrictions afterwards? How long am I going to be out of work? Or how long before I can exercise? Do I have to change my diet or my lifestyle? Do I have to take long-term medications? We know that with mechanical valves, you're on blood thinners for the rest of your life. But sometimes you might have to be too with a tissue. There are certain circumstances. So, and what's follow-up look like? Again, thoracic surgeons, Society of Thoracic Surgeons, STS, really valuable website for resources and patient website. It's easy to read. They have wonderful videos. The doctors are giving these videos of the hosts, and it's just good information. Have you had a chance to look at any of that?
One of the things that I would always add to any list that you talk to with your doctor when you're making a decision about a procedure or surgery, I always ask, I learned this during breast cancer, I always say, is your plan based on best practice of what you would recommend for me, or are you recommending what my insurance will pay for? Because I need to know what best practice is for me and let me decide whether I can afford to pay out of pocket for what's, yeah, I learned that during breast
Wow.
cancer.
That's a really
Yeah,
great question. I mean, and not everybody's in the position to pay out of the pocket, but if you
no,
can, I think it is important. And because if a doctor, even if they are recommending something that maybe your insurance can't pay for, let them fight for you with an authorization,
right,
you
right. I
know?
just found this out. I developed lymphedema in my arm after my last surgery from my breast cancer. And I've changed insurance in the last year, and the insurance that the last sleeve paid, the last sleeve was wonderful. It was custom fit. It fits really well. I hardly know I have it on. I expected that was going to happen with the next insurance when we had to order another one, and that didn't happen. And I'm so mad at myself because I had to pay some money out of pocket, and it was $3,000 out of pocket and a crappy sleeve. So I
Mm,
wish I had asked those questions beforehand.
that's
So
important.
yeah, it's very important.
That's really great. That's good information. Yeah.